Nerdom, the show where we dive deep into the first, the last, and everything weird, wonderful, and wildly imaginative in the world of nerd and cult cinema. This week, we're kicking off something special, our Criterion month, where we explore films that don't just entertain but define cinema as art. These are the bold, the visionary, the unforgettable, the movies that changed how stories are told and how worlds are built. And we're starting with one of the most visually stunning, darkly satirical, and endlessly influential sci fi films ever made, Brazil. Terry Gilliam's 1985 masterpiece of madness and bureaucracy, set in a world that's both retro futuristic and soul crushingly mundane. Brazil follows Sam Laurie, a low level bureaucrat with big dreams, tangled in a web of paperwork, ducks, and totalitarian paranoia and surreal rebellion. It's Orwell by way of Monty Python, absurd, tragic, funny, and disturbingly prophetic. This is a film where fantasy collides with futility, where love dares to exist in the shadow of a system gone insane, and where every dream feels one form stamped rejection away from collapse. It's messy, mesmerizing, and unlike anything else from the 1980s or any decade, really. So grab your briefcase, assign your 27B/6 form, and try not to let the Ministry of Information catch you daydreaming because tonight we're plumbing the ducts of dystopia and the depths of imagination. This is the first to last nerdom where we're opening Criterion Month with chaotic brilliance, Terry Gilliam's Brazil, a film where the future looks alarmingly familiar. Escape might only exist in your dreams. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Tom, how are you doing? Screwed
I'm
up
good.
there. We're getting our legs back for the thing. Anyway, yeah. So how are you doing, Tom? I'm doing good.
I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, we're classing up the place with our Criterion. I noticed this month is usually their Criterion's 50% off sale on Barnes and Nobles. So I thought, what would this would be a great time to kind of look at their collection and go through some of the films that we have. And in fact, I got to go to Barnes and Nobles over the weekend, and I picked up a couple movies. Um, we don't have them slated for this, but yeah, there's lot to choose from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm so glad that you are the master engine behind. I'd say a good source of our themed months and our
Mhm,
movie picks. Anyway, I mean, some of it is informed on what me and you like and this and
mhm,
that sort of thing. But for the most part, we're here again this month. Brazil. This one I had never heard before. Period. I mean, I've never heard, was completely oblivious to who was the gentleman who played in it. Very very famous. Everybody knows him. Robert De Niro. Had no clue.
yeah,
You
Didn't-
know, but among many other people, either that were just as equally iconic in other ways.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. He was if you need some a guy below board to fix your heating, who better than
yeah,
Robert De Niro?
absolutely. Here, I'm going to share the screen here, and then we're gonna go through the bona fides here. Pay the bills with the skills, so to speak. So we are the first, the last nerdum. This is our website, which is www.firstlastnerdom.com. Where you go there, you can see our last 10 whatever YouTube videos that are out there, whether they be short, long, live, doesn't matter. Actually, I bet you if I refresh it now, oh nope, apparently I cannot hit the apparently I'm not allowed to hit the right button. Well, I don't
So
know what happened there.
you get your form 27B in order.
That is a live show. There's a very yeah. So there it is. But also you can catch us always on home base at the first last nerdum, or excuse me, at first last nerdum on YouTube. Um, we have all of our different things there. I think the reason why I'm so discombobulated, Tom, is we are. I didn't mention it. I hardly mentioned it last week anyway. Going into this week, and we'll do something special this month, hopefully, coming up here. But we really want to do the video gaming thing and try to do some kind of like a thing. But it's just a comedy of errors, whether it's me trying to get it going or Tom trying to get it going or whatever. But with that being said, this is our fourth year. This is our fourth year on YouTube, where we've always been, of course, like we've been somewhere else. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of call that out, and we really do appreciate the last several. I think we had 4 subscribers pop up the last, I don't know, 20, 30 days, something like that. And thanks to Tom's, I believe they came in on the power of your shorts, which hit some records there for us as far as viewing goes. 2.8K, awesome. Tom coming through in clutch. But with that being said, Tom, you have some things to say and do, don't you? Here.
Oh yeah, I'm on Reddit under FirstLastNerdom as well. I try to find subreddits that will have us and try to promote our stuff. Sometimes I don't get deleted. When I don't, hey, I'm there. But yeah, I'm also on X under FirstLastNerdom, and then yeah, I promote our latest and greatest. Although I didn't promote our new one, the X Files. I'll need to get on that.
That's
You
okay.
you sprung that on us on a Saturday.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I had intentions of having doing some stuff on Saturday and whatnot, and anyway, it just didn't happen. But that's okay, because we are 100% 100% professional amateurs. So that, as the saying goes, I too am also on X, ApeIt_Ink. You can also find my long form content, ApeIt.Ink, as well. But as always, you can find us at FirstLastNerdom.com. And with that, so you had picked this one out, and I'm going to go into the thing. So Terry Gilliam, who is a favorite of yours,
Mhm,
um, you and him, you know him, and every film that you brought to my attention that we've watched or covered has been
mhm,
fascinating. There's been nothing wrong with it. It just, for whatever reason, some of them didn't quite catch. Um,
mhm,
and this, I guess, this was one of them. And I wanted to say, so so Sam Lowry, he's
mhm.
obsessed with finding Jill and tracking her down, and there's some other things too. I guess what was the in this one kind of was a stinker in the box office originally when
Yeah,
it came out.
yeah. They took it away from Terry Gilliam, and they released. They had I think Fox released it in Europe, and then Universal released it in the States, or maybe it was vice versa. But yeah, 6 7. No, but yeah. So they released it. They released it overseas in the 2 hour and 23 minute version that is on the director's cut on Criterion, but. Yeah, the on the in the states they try to give it a happy ending and cut it down to an hour and a half, which he had final cut on it, but he had to bring it under a certain amount of time, and they used that to take it away from him to recut it to the way it's like part of the film heads kind of knew it was an art house movie that wasn't going to, be a big blockbuster. But one of the studio heads thought it could be if they cut it down to an hour and a half and had a happy ending that could be like a blockbuster. And so I think it was just kind of mismanaged. But yeah, at least now we have the beautiful Criterion collection version, and actually the I think there's like 5 different versions of the movie. One of the versions is the one I originally saw, which was I didn't ever see this in the theater because I don't think I would have. It wasn't one of those that caught my eye. But yeah, I saw it on cable TV and in one of its butchered versions. So I don't know if I'd seen the director's cut before, so it was interesting catching that. It's like when you talk about Brazil, you didn't have to ask, well, what version did you watch? You know.
No, well, and so that's what my understanding of doing a little background research. This had terrible troubles with Terry,
Mhm,
Boomer Juice.
mhm.
Um, and I was gonna say, he had didn't he had to fight with them just to get it released.
Yeah,
Right?
like
Didn't he take out a full page ad in Variety or something like that for addressing Universal, the studio, and Sid Sheinberg?
yeah, Sid was the one that wanted to cut it down to an hour and a half and have a happy ending on it. Which, kind of you're kind of losing the plot a little bit, but yeah, yeah. From my understanding, yeah, they fought with each other in the press. There's like one of the extras on the Blu-ray is the guy that covered it in the press, and I guess they would ring him up and tell him what the other, kind of bad mouthing the other person. So he was sort of like the go between, and yeah, they kind of fought it out in the press. But yeah, um, yeah, it's it's almost as fascinating as the movie itself. Yeah. Uh, trying to get it out there and have his vision. Although I think successfully now, with the Criterion release, you have the best looking version of it, and the like I said, the director's cut. So you have his vision as one of the extras on there is the 90 plus minute version. I think it's called Brazil Love Conquers All version. So
Right.
if you want to see the butchered version, um, yeah, the one I saw on cable TV, I think it's was a version of that. So, and I enjoyed it, but yeah, there's like obviously we won't get into the ending, but yeah, there's if you stop it at a certain point, you do have a happy ending, and then if you let it play a little bit longer, you don't have a happy ending.
Yeah. So this one, um, and it's a good thing. And I won't go into the whole spiel of it or whatever, but the fact that Terry won ultimately in the end because of
Hmm.
the proper ending that he wanted versus the
Hmm.
happy ending that the studio wanted is two completely different. One would be a forgettable, not as impactful as what this was his vision for. But I just find that fascinating. So it failed financially, but it at the same time it seems to have picked up quite a cult following, and apparently this is up there with the pantheon of dystopian future, blah, sci-fi ish, like up there with Blade Runner and 80, which I've seen obviously. Maybe at some point I'm sure we'll cover 1984. But it's just very interesting how things could have been different. And
Yeah.
forgettable film, like just a footnote on a bookshelf somewhere that nobody cares about, versus something that like well obviously we're covering it so many years later, 40 years, 40 plus years later almost. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually 40 years right on the dot actually.
But yeah, he's Terry Gilliam's obviously a visual director, and his stuff is visually stunning. One of the things that when I think about Brazil, I think of Katherine Helmond and her face being stretched and tugged. That's one of the images that kind of goes into your mind. But you also think of Jonathan Pryce flying to the air. Looks like he could be on like a cover of a David Bowie album or something. The
I
way
guess you could, yeah,
he
good,
looks on there.
call. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and
Yeah,
there's your
there's that.
stretching. Yeah.
The Plastic Man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh my
I
god.
was struggling with the thumbnail, and that kept popping up. I was like, YouTube probably won't like us if we use that as their thumbnail. But yeah. There's surprisingly, for such a stunningly interesting looking movie, there's not a whole lot of cool thumbnails that I could pick from that would work well. But but yeah, so it's sort of a sci-fi movie. It takes place somewhere in the 20th century. It says at the beginning, I think. But yeah, the computers are kind of a
Decommission.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
far away time.
yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah. It's definitely interesting take on tech. You've got the typewriter type keyboards
Oh
with the tiny screens, but then the big magnifying thing to make the screen look bigger. It's a definite look to it, and also on the phones, I was kind of fascinated with sort of almost like a telephone operator kind of plugging in different plugs into the phone to answer the phone. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's obviously yeah, like with Blade Runner or Alien, the tech in this movie is distinctly its own. You know, you're not
oh,
going to get it
absolutely.
confused with with anything
Well,
else.
you can, and you can. I had no idea. Like, I really, again, I come into films that I had no knowledge of before. You know, aside from occasionally, like I had heard something, I had no idea this thing existed
Mhm.
whatsoever. And you can see the blueprints there, or the fingerprints of things in the future. Yeah, I could see a little bit of the Matrix in there, a little bit, and we like the Wachowski uh, people, Wachowski family, and their version of
Mhm.
things. Like, even I think we covered the latest
Yeah.
Matrix too, but I could also see the idiocracy in there too, like what kind of with the absurdness kind of trying to punch its way through
Yeah.
a little, just not quite as like not quite. It's not a comedy, obviously, but there are there are unique things like you were calling out, like the world building, and that's what I like. Their world, their world's very interesting looking.
Yeah.
And it shows that you
Yeah.
know like the darkness that is the future, or it isn't necessarily jackboots and fascist rallies, but you know it's a lot more pedestrian than that. It's just mind-numbing paperwork and being obsessed with looks, and whatnot. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, yeah. And, in the commentary, Terry Gilliam points out, the how his parents were, just regular people working regular jobs, and then they very much believed in the um, bureaucratic, the with being told by the police or authority figures.
Right.
There was unconditional trust in those institutions that
Right.
kind of surrounded them. That he's sort of like poking at in this movie, saying, okay, those people that you put your faith into, a little typo could cause a world of hurt for you if it's done on your account, and again, you're looking at through the eyes of this bureaucrat, and him kind of he basically just wants to live in his dreams, and then he he doesn't want to have a promotion. He doesn't want to make waves. He's comfortable with being comfortable, and there's several things in this movie that makes him, gets him out of his comfort zone, and at the end of it, you're kind of questioning, maybe he shouldn't have made waves. Maybe he should just took his little spot in the world, and although he did, he got close to his dreams, I guess. There's that woman Jill that that looks very much like his dream girl that he needs to find, and he goes out of his way, and he takes that promotion that he probably shouldn't have taken, so that he could get more information, so that he could maybe get in touch with her. But sometimes, when you chase your dreams, sometimes they don't quite work out the way you want them to. Um, but yeah, it's almost like he's sort of like comfortably numb, as Pink Floyd likes to say. He's kind of numb to everything around him. He's let bureaucratic paperwork kind of overrun his emotional connection with humans. There's there's that darn check that they're trying to get rid of, and yeah. He's very much like all the bureaucratic people that he's just trying to get that woman to take the check, and she's more concerned with her husband's body and the human aspects of things, and I don't know. Does he learn how to be a human again by the end of this?
I think I don't know. From Tuttle to Buttle, right? Like from like this, just the smallest little thing that could change. I don't know. He doesn't want ambition. He doesn't want more complexity. I kind of get a little. I don't know. It's just a very cruel character. Detail, like for some of him, he's not a rebel. So he doesn't have the normal kind of things that we would look to in I guess, or human things that you would want to root for or see or pick up on or whatever. But because it's harder to find an answer because he is, he just wants to blend in. He wants to melt. He wants to. It kind of reminds me of that. So like I've been watching like a bunch of like construction videos like on YouTube, like doing this and doing that. Some classic channels that I've always followed and whatever. And it kind of reminds me of this. There are this epoxy. There's these people that do epoxies, and epoxy is self-leveling, meaning that like if your table or shit's all crooked, it's gonna be level. Your shit's gonna be crooked, but it's gonna be level. He's kind of like that. He kind of reminds me of that. That as an analogy. Poor analogy. But that's what I think of. I don't. So I don't know. But he is kind of mastered the art of not being noticed too. So,
right, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, he but there's a couple of scenes where he's working with his boss Ian Holm, Kurtzman. I wonder if Kurtzman's a nod to Apocalypse Now, but yeah, there's yeah, it seems like that Kurtzman, his boss, couldn't live without him, as a job, and he needs Sam Lowry's expertise to get things done. So he's comfortable with making waves or flexing his abilities when, like you said, when nobody's noticing, or when behind closed doors, he doesn't want to make waves. Sort of that middle management. He's talking to his coworkers there on the ground floor. And they have their little thing where they watch movies when the boss isn't watching them, and they've kind of got that down to a science. So he's in on that portion of it, but then he has an in on with the boss, who the boss kind of leans very heavily on his expertise. So yeah, he's sort of got the best of both worlds where he's at. So that's why he doesn't want to get a promotion, to I guess to get out of his comfort level. And but there's two things going against him. He has these recurring dreams where he's flying and he's saving this damsel in distress. Also, his heating goes out and or goes on, and he has sort of like he runs into the bureaucratic nightmare of trying to get it fixed, and he finds an unlikely hero in the, I guess he's sort of a DIY sort of fix it heating without the kind of a pirate Central Air kind of guy that shows up in the form of Robert De Niro, Tuttle, and he sort of I guess he sees the hero that he could be within Tuttle, and it was kind of interesting because Terry Gilliam said that Robert De Niro had kind of leaned more towards the Michael Palin's character, Jack, his friend, and Terry goes, no, he saw him more as the Tuttle character because he goes, you're Robert De Niro, you're the hero. The audience wants to see you as a hero. They don't want you to be the friend / torturer guy.
Right. We'll go back to his dream. You
Hmm.
mentioned that before.
Uh-huh.
You have his dreams and his reality, right?
Yeah.
And he's his heroic winged figure, soaring through
Hmm.
the clouds, and he's gonna,
Hmm.
presumably rescue this,
Hmm.
beautiful,
Much,
you know,
much like is it what's his name? Da Vinci's sort of almost like his. It almost remind me of his drawings of flying, the flying wings and
the
whatnot.
the, the
Yeah,
swirly thing or whatever.
yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, just the Da Vinci's designs and his art.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Like his
his
technical
wings.
drawings and what? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, sorry, took me
yeah,
like helicopter. Like I remember seeing that,
yeah.
but no, I get it. Well, it's just interesting too. I don't know. Like it's not surprising that something this iconic is nobody talks about. You kind of you kind of get into this area of science fiction, like where these very heavy things that carry through things in a way that others hope to replicate if they hope that at best. Unfortunately, so though, you don't have like a franchise that was made from this. Of course, if it was, it would have been
Right.
exploited to hilt, and it would have been perverted beyond what we know it to be. Or
Yeah, and
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that is too art house.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's sort of like Terry Gilliam. He's a very fascinating person. I love listening to hearing him talk because he sort of says it like it is. He's much like a John Carpenter in that. Although Terry Gilliam has a more a less pessimistic view of things. But he talks about in the commentary how people thought he was influenced by Star Wars in this movie, and then he was like, "No, not really.
No.
Star Wars wasn't the influence." He does point out that there's that early on scene where Sam Laurie gets up to and he has it rigged up to make his coffee and his toast, and um, about a year later. Back to the Future kind of steals that kind of gag from this movie. He remembers someone calling him up, say, "Hey, Back to the Future stole your idea," and he goes, but Terry Gilliam said, we all kind of still among ourselves, so he didn't have any ill will towards
Right.
that. But yeah, he talked about how you know instead of the studio trying to find because he goes, there's a group of people that would enjoy this movie, and instead of trying to get this movie to appeal to everybody, you know why aren't you going out and trying to find that audience that'll appreciate it, that as opposed to beating up on the the creator and making him do all these cuts that he doesn't want, and try to you know take this square movie and punch it into the circle hole.
Right.
Try to make it fit something that it obviously isn't. Yeah, it's one of those. Obviously he's from Monty Python fame, and you have Michael Palin in this. This isn't like a Monty Python movie. It has some of that absurdity,
That's
baked
right.
into it. There is humor in it, but it's very very black humor.
Yeah, it's so absurd, but it fits the world that it's in, and it is right on
Mhm,
that, like very dark Monty Python.
mhm,
You can see the DNA, meeting, but
mhm.
inside an Orwellian nightmare. You
Right.
can, like, there's a scene there, like near the terror bombing. or
Hmm.
do we want to talk about that or no?
We can.
Still in Act One, right? Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a kind of. I'm not. I mean, I can describe it. It's not going to be very funny when I describe it, but like it just like there's this horrific thing that happened, and just people just move a little bit further. They just whatever.
Yeah.
Like
So they don't want it to mess up their day, just gotta keep
right.
going.
Which is actually closer to reality
Hmm.
than I think people. I don't want to get too serious here, but like
Hmm.
it is like you and I we've both lived through the last quarter of a century,
Hmm.
and it's not. I wouldn't say it's to the point to like where people just mind their own business and keep walking or whatever, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
In certain parts, and it's very sad in some way. But anyway, this is one of many many bizarre things that you see that you catch that for some characters that I don't necessarily think that their humanity comes through for me personally for my it's just very interesting how it's about um putting more layers between yourself and another person. I guess it's just like this thing that is as and every time you see that person there's like another sheet of paper between you and them, and then the next
Hmm.
time you see him then there's another one, and then and then pretty soon it just grows exponentially to where you just can't see. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
rambling.
No worries. Yeah, the whole relationship between him and his dream girl Jill. I think that's probably the weakest aspect of the movie is that you really don't know who Jill is. You just you. It's almost the Jonathan Pryce. He plays Sam Laurie. He's a pretty well defined character. You kind of know what makes up him. You less so with Jill. Does she ever become more than a damsel in distress for him? I don't know if he ever really sees her more than his dream girl. Um, and because I don't think they had time, they the two times that they've really got to spend time with each other, they're running from authority or enjoying their company, so to speak. So um, because yeah, she sort of becomes somebody else when she's with him. She sort of plays up his fantasy of putting on the wig and being someone else as opposed to because she's more gritty and down to earth. I mean, the start of the movie, she's taking a bath in this dirty, dirty ass water. I don't know if you noticed that, but yeah, that
Yeah, I
water
kind
was
of,
pretty,
yeah, I kind of
pretty
just,
grotesque.
I didn't pay too much attention. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it fits, but I didn't know. I didn't catch that right off the bat. I just kind of caught it, and like this world is kind of gross.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like
Hmm.
these people's idea of hygiene is maybe not at all
Not the best, yeah.
what you or I would consider, even perfunctory.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, even down to like them trying to fix what they've broken. They go through her apartment to get to this other guy that lives down below her, and they're trying to fix the hole in the ground or in the floor, and they did it in metrics as opposed to feet.
Yeah, I would agree. You're right. You when Sam sees Jill, Leighton
Hmm.
Kim Bryce, recognizes her from his dreams.
Hmm.
Yeah, she is probably the weakest. I would agree. I think you said that the weaker element of the film.
Hmm.
Um, and Gilliam, wasn't he dissatisfied with her uh, scenes?
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't run upon that, but yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe he did, maybe he did, but yeah, she is, she's more than a more symbol than a character.
Yeah.
You're right. She just kind of like, here I am. All right, let me pop in here, hit my mark, and peace out.
Yeah.
You'll never see me again. Which is, I don't know, kind of, and I don't know. Maybe that's a comment on what your goaling or what your goal or your end state you try to make it to be, and you can never attain it. You can touch it, but you can't. You can get it, but you're never gonna have it. That's kind of the
Right.
other thing too, which is like an interesting play on like the concept of you wanting something versus getting. It's
Getting that, yeah.
it's just interesting where it's just designed to screw with you. The whole It's kind of the whole
Yep.
premise of the. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
caricature of the movie, but there is a
Yeah.
good chunk of the movie that is like that. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and he's having her run through like barricades and all sorts. It's almost like he becomes more childlike around her. It's like he's trying to apply his dream logic to reality, and he's kind of screwing over her life and his life at the same time. But he doesn't see that. He just sees he's finally living his dream.
Well,
Um,
there was that. There's that. I guess in a way, it's kind of not, Jill's fault per se,
mhm,
because she does have to be somewhat be that blank slate, as Sam's fantasy, as his projection of what
mhm,
he thinks. She's a truck driver, working class woman.
mhm,
He's pursuing her, but he's pursuing this fantasy of her, not about
mhm.
who she actually is.
Right.
And you're right. You see him devolve into kind of, you're right, like a child. Like
Mhm.
he kind of he descends into obsession. Um,
Yeah.
but he is delusion. That's kind of the draw. It's not love, but it's
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. There's a lot going on here. There's also the bureaucratic side of things, like where he gets his promotion and he goes up to I forget what floor. I think it's 31, wasn't it, or something like that. And he gets his new office, and there's evidently through the wall there's a shared desk, and it doesn't, obviously you've never been in a situation where you're literally fighting a guy through the wall for your desk space, but it kind of touches on those universal truths about working in an office. And if anyone's ever worked in the office, you get that sense of that paranoia and upsmanship, and that guy that the guy that's not looking out for your best interest, that's maybe working on the opposite side of the wall with you. There's a lot of it's absurd, but there's a sense of reality that it plays on. So there's the dog tape on his butt. There's like there's a lot of truths that it's based on. So yeah, it's a very well grounded movie. A lot of time when you see art house movies, they kind of they strive for maybe a more abstract things. But this one, even though it gets kind of very absurd, it's always kind of grounded in reality, something that you can kind of latch onto, so that the absurdity of it really just kind of plays with the reality of it. It's again
well,
with the desk, it has that mundane rubbing up against the absurd.
right. I was trying to read the poster on the side of the wall there, and
Yeah.
in the screenshot. But yeah, well, the bureaucracy, the fact that no mistakes can happen, the
Hmm.
fact that there are ducks. These duck. You kind of tipped your hat a little bit at the beginning of the
Hmm.
show, but you know, you have these people. There's so many layers of incompetence, like weaponized incompetence on
Hmm.
purpose. And then you have somebody, like De Niro's character that comes through, and it's just he's you know he punches the drama factor out quite a bit.
Yeah. He kind
He,
of he
part
cuts through
ninja.
the bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's part ninja, part plumber. A little bit of anarchist there, maybe. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Terrorists, in other words, but depending upon what your perspective is, but
Hmm.
it's just funny.
Yeah, it's like you were talking about covering, it's always within the bureaucracy, it's always the other department. There was a very telling speech in there by Michael Palin. He plays the Jack character, his quote unquote friend, talking about how no, he got the right guy. They just delivered him the wrong guy.
Right.
He had the right guy. The one that they told him he would be getting. But it turned out to be the wrong guy, but he had the right guy. It's always someone else's fault within the bureaucracy. That they could always point the finger at somebody else, and I think that's why the Sam character wants that anonymity, so that the finger never gets pointed his way. But he does stick out his neck to try to track down the Jill character, to quote unquote save her.
Right.
um,
Right.
but yeah, it's a very fascinating movie. Like I said, there's so many different layers to this movie. There's usually like one theme that kind of goes throughout a movie. Although this one has several, and several different interesting characters. Like we didn't even mention Bob Hoskins. He's in this as one of the Central Services people that gets bogged down into the forms. But yeah, there's a lot of over the top performances in this, but it's one of those movies that kind of demands that. This is sort of like you're dealing with absurdity, so your acting kind of has to be a little bit over the top to kind of match the tempo of this movie.
Right. Well, I was gonna say too. I also enjoyed I talk about the world building. I really got that got served up very well for me for this
Hmm.
film. I also was in love. I think you were too, of the visual elements too, especially in the dream sequences.
Yeah.
This is 1985, pre CGI, and here Terry created these Hieronymus Bosch inspired um, tableaus,
Yeah.
with miniatures and matte paintings and wire work and
A lot of creepy baby mask.
right. But
Yeah.
he's the wings fighting samurai, rescuing the maiden. That it's just pretty cool. It's beautiful and grotesque, like as you
Yeah,
you
and I
you highlighted on the other side of that coin too.
yeah, and I it has a lot of the same DNA as 12 Monkeys, another movie that Terry Gilliam made. The the
Oh,
whole sci-fi aspect
yeah.
of that movie is very reminiscent of the bureaucratic stuff in this one. It's almost, it could have been like in the same universe. With all the gadgets and the tech from that movie to this. You can tell that Terry Gilliam has a certain style choices for that. His stuff is, there's at one point there's like a robot getting up in her Jill's business when she's trying to get the correct form to the proper channels. There's that robot that with the big eye on it, and he talks about how with the design of something, usually you have a definite, in Hollywood you have like a guy that takes control of that design, and it's from top to bottom his design. Whereas with Terry, he says that it's more of a group effort. He might contribute a little bit to that robot, and another guy, so wouldn't this be kind of cool if we did this, and maybe take that out, put this in, and he says it's more kind of a hodgepodge, and that's sort of the look of things for him is just kind of mixing it all together and until it finally looks correct. And
Right.
that's probably how things get designed anyway. It's not like it's kind of got that kind of put together by committee sort of feel to it.
Right. Christ. Yeah.
Buttle and Tuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like how they kind of when they arrest somebody, they kind of put them in a mail bag and
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Could make it more terrifying. Like more
yeah,
dehumanizing. Like you're
right.
not. You no longer are a person.
Yeah.
You're a property of the state now.
You're a parcel, yeah, that they get they kind of push around and everything. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Total disregard for any kind of humanity whatsoever.
absolutely.
Trying to see the other one. Yeah. Full force. Yeah. No. I was gonna say. Sorry. I was rolling through the things there. We had other links. I was trying to see too. I had made a note. But I don't know. I guess I could kind of see like where it would just not land. It was just before. I don't know if you call it before its time or ahead of its time or I don't know.
Displaced in time.
I don't know, whatever, but yeah, it just didn't quite catch. But you can tell, like you mentioned, that it is true. We did, and it also reminds me of um, the other one too. I think with the kids.
Time Bandits.
Yeah. Like there's a
Yeah,
lot of
this.
connective tissue that I
Mhm,
see stylistically. Maybe not
mhm,
right on the nose, but there's like I know who made this, or I
mhm.
can tell you who's probably involved with this. That kind of that
Right.
taste, that flavor. This had he not done this, the other ones further on in the future from this point, from '85 forward, that he did. That these
Mhm,
kind of things. There's a certain kind of reps that directors and artistic folks have to go through, before they kind of hit their stride. Some are just there and they've always had it, like with I don't know, somebody like George Lucas. You could everything he had was practically, great, right off the
mhm.
bat, or really, really, really good.
Yeah, and I will say he said that he kind of got the idea for this. He was in I think in a on a beach in Scotland, and I guess there's it's they kind of process coal there, and they're taking it from the ships onto the beach, and over time the whole beach has kind of gotten covered in this charcoal soot, and he remembers a guy out in his kind of his folding chair out there looking at the sunset. And he's got a little radio next to him playing that Brazil song that kind of plays out within this. So sort of that absurd thing of you're in the middle of filth, but you're looking towards a better future, and that's sort of this movie in a nutshell. It's like trying to get away from the the darkness of the day and striving for your dreams, but the bureaucratic nightmare kind of weighs you down. Can you survive the bureaucratic nightmare to get to your dreams? And so some would say no, but he says he sort of has he's sort of optimistic pessimist. He wanted a he's kind of strives for a happy ending, but he's a more of a realist to know that you don't always get your dreams come true, and he sort of likes how the movie ends because he gets a little bit of best of both worlds, which is sort of how this plays out. I don't know. I couldn't think of a better way to end the movie. Obviously, you can't. I think a lot of movies have trouble sticking the landing, and it either becomes too happy of an ending, or maybe not dark enough. But this gets that balance of both, like I said, both worlds. There's that sense towards the end of it where, well, this is going actually very well for him. How is this going to end up? And there's sort of signs that maybe you're in a dream state. Through that, there's a little hints, with Robert De Niro becoming paperwork.
Right.
but but yeah, Yeah, it's one of those movies I don't always think about, but when I do, it always kind of brings a smile to my face. It's like it maybe not the one that you immediately think of when you think of Terry Gilliam. You know, there's more crowd pleasing movies that he's done, but this one, you know, it doesn't wear out its welcome. You know, it's a 2 hour. You know, if you watch the director's cut, it's 2 hours and 23 minutes. But I don't feel that runtime with this movie. It doesn't feel like a 2+ hour movie.
No, it goes along for the most part. It keeps you entertained. It keeps you gripped to the scene that you're in.
Hmm.
There's a couple parts where you kind of wobble out a little bit, but for the most part, you're captivated by what you see and the world building,
Hmm.
and then some of the choices that the characters make that cause you to maybe see yourself in them. I don't know, something like that, something
Yeah.
along those lines. But um, I was gonna say too, like yeah, literally, he dies of paperwork. Like it's it's scary.
Hmm.
It's that's not something you want to you envision wanting to deal with at all
Right.
whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Oh man, sorry, 1 second here. I gotta.
Hmm.
There it is. All right. Freaking thing wanted to update one in the middle of the broadcast. And I was like, wait. I was gonna. Do you think we missed everything? I mean, I don't. Do you want how? I don't know if, how far you want to lean into. We are at the very. We were doing this for about 50 minutes or so, but I don't know how close you want to get on the edge for the for the. I mean, the end is the end, but it's just
Hmm.
very interesting how um, uh, you know nobody gets out alive.
Right. No, yeah, yeah, it's not a happy ending, but it for the world that's been created, it feels true to the world. Yeah, and I don't think he just in that world. I don't think you have the skill set to survive. You know, there's not like I said, you're trapped in that bureaucratic thing, and then even even trying to get out of town. Um, I like the image of they're driving that truck down that highway, and it's just billboards, endless billboards. You can't see the the countryside because of all the billboards. You're trapped even when you're out of the town and you're driving down the street. Everything, you're surrounded by advertising, and you just can't get away. Um, there, it truly does feel like a dream, where they they get out of they get off into the woods and stuff, and it just doesn't ring true anymore. It just doesn't seem real. So yeah, but yeah, the whole nightmare. I think with the humor of the movie, it kind of lightens, because otherwise it would be a extremely depressing, dark movie.
Oh, I mean, it would be a if this had a different tone and lighting, um, it would absolutely pull people under, and even more so than it already does, right? For like
Mhm.
where you actually end up and what it's really about. And I'm not going to talk about what it is. I mean, maybe we'll get there at the very end of our show. Maybe I don't want to give away because this is like too good. Like, I don't want this to be spoiled by me saying,
Mhm.
um, aside from like saying an idiotic boneheaded thing or whatever, that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
So I won't. But it it really it shows you the deep talent that he has. And I mean, structurally, okay, so there's a couple weaknesses there for Jill. All right,
Mhm.
well, I mean, she's kind of already made to be like that anyway, so you can't really get too mad about it. And
Mhm.
also, this is a story about Sam. You know,
Hmm.
this isn't a story about Jill.
Right. And
This is also not a story about Henry Tuttle. It's a story about, you know, Sam. Again, you know, you kind of wink, wink, hint, hint, nod, nod. This is about Sam and what happens to Sam, and I'll leave it there.
yeah, and it's kind of told through his vision. So if things aren't doesn't some aspects of it doesn't seem too real, maybe it's because of his, the faulty narrative. And I love this scene here where the guy's he's well, you want to see my ID? He goes, no, if you're here, you're supposed to be here. There, he is like the guy on the podium there. He's got this unrelenting faith in the machinery of things.
Right.
If you're here, then yeah, you wouldn't be here if you weren't supposed to be. So there's like that. And then a little bit later, there's a huge shootout while he's still at the podium. That transpires. But yeah, Sam's like that cog in the wheel, that wants to be more. He wants to break out, but you're a cog for a reason. You keep the
Right.
thing turning. So when you break down, the whole thing breaks down.
Right. What is it like? Get back in line, cog.
Right.
I was gonna say too. Yeah. Just the other thing too. Kind of bringing it forward a little bit is a little bit of a segue to this week's binge worthy. This has undertones of dystopia things. You know, there's V for Vendetta that we've covered. There's
Hmm.
Wally, even that's a consumerist dystopian one a little bit. You know,
Hmm.
they all owe something to Brazil. I wanted to say, and that Severance, it's I don't want to give too much away. I am just getting into it, um, but that's like more for like a Brazil for the corporate era. I'll just kind of leave it at that. So maybe that's going to
Yeah.
be maybe
Yeah, I
look
did
for
get.
that Severance show to show up in our binge worthy one of these days or one of these weeks.
Yeah,
What do you think, Tom?
I'm a big fan of Severance. And yeah, at different points in this, I did get that sense. Yeah, there's a lot of this movie has some DNA within Severance, I'm sure, with a sort of low tech, high tech kind of aspect of things. But yeah, that's one of the things I love about sci-fi. With horror, it's a lot of it's in your face, sort of confronting a lot of stuff. But with sci-fi, you can get a little bit more cerebral and kind of play with various ideas, even more than one idea. And this one does that very well. It kind of it really kind of wraps you up into the world building, and you but you also have these interesting and fascinating characters that pop up within this world. And like I said, it's sort of like one of those. It's sort of complete in and of itself. You feel like once you know even though there's not any more movies within this world, it feels so complete that you feel like if you got a chance to step back into this world, these characters would still be going on. It'd be kind of fascinating to see where they end up. Even though I guess the contradiction is that the people within this movie don't treat each other like humans, but they feel very genuinely human.
Right, right. Yeah, the Kafka esque is what
Hmm.
comes to mind, which is the literary worlds. Go check that out. That's a classic story that everybody should read, um, and get familiar with too, because it pulls right from it. And then I was going to say too, speaking of this, this apparently again new to me. You're always learning, like I am. This went on a lot of list for being really valued as as a really great science fiction film on several lists. One of those lists was the Criterion Collection that released it, which is basically the Library of Congress stamp of approval for cinema. uh, but I wanted to mention that too. And while I pull that one up, did you watch this one for this week, right? Because you already have
Hmm.
this, correct? Right?
Yeah,
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 I
yeah, yeah.
got,
You're our
I
resident
got my.
physical media. Uh,
Yep. And you've got a copy of it as well, courtey of me and
yes,
Amazon.
yes. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Amazon. Oh
uh,
man.
but yeah,
Okay, perfect.
yeah. So Barnes and Noble has the 50% off sale right now. So you can get Brazil. Most of them are 25. The Brazil, I think you get a few more disc in that, so a little more stuff packed in there. So they make it $30 on this, but for most of them they're 25. Amazon price matches, so I think most of them are. Um, that's weird. It looks like you're logged in on my account.
I just noticed that too. I just noticed that too. I'm not going to click anywhere. I'm going to just leave it right where it is because that's the most important part. So we'll make sure that. But I just noticed that when you were it was like,
Mhm.
"Hi, Tom." It's like, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but no, no, it's out there too. I think you also shared like there's also
Mhm.
this 50% off
Yep.
sale that they seem to have going on around this time of year. So this is a perfect
Mhm.
stocking stuffer. This is
Yeah.
what comes to mind, especially when you have such really really good, so many good ones. I'm gonna go bankrupt. You see, like I saw three
Yeah.
that I've been wanting to get.
Mhm.
But yeah, with that, I was gonna say I think we're wrapping up here. Did you
I
have
think
any
so.
other things to add? I was gonna say.
Mhm.
I just wanted to say special praise to De Niro, because he had
Mhm.
such iconic thing. This was in his prime, and he was coming off of King of Comedy and Once Upon a Time in America, and him doing a supporting role like this, thought,
Mhm.
it was, he picked well. I think that
Mhm.
he picked well. I just time it's just not quite well in box office, not everything, but you know what though, Blade Runner 2049, I think it was, I think the budget was like 30 million and it only made 40 million or something like that,
Mhm.
something upside down or whatever. Hardly was considered a box office blockbuster success.
Mhm.
it was the things that it gave birth to later on. So this is no different. This is
Yeah.
like one of those kind of unfortunately going to be back of the shelf kind of things, but when you do discover the back of the shelf, it is very rewarding to see it. And because you totally, you have seen this film but you haven't seen this film because of a lot, if you've consumed, at least if you consumed a lot of modern versions of dystopian,
Yeah.
it's a favorite of sometimes lazy genre that
Mhm.
Hollywood likes to tap into
Yeah.
once in a while. But there we are.
Yep. Yeah. I think that kind of wraps things up for us. But yeah, yeah. So we're gonna be kind of doing the whole Criterion. If you have your favorites, please let us know. Um, but uh, but yeah, Criterion. Yeah, sort of like that. The seal of approval. So, sort of like with would say like with the A24. A lot of time,
Hmm.
A24 sort of kind of going for that sort of you're curated. If it's Criterion, at least it's going to be of quality.
Yeah, well, like I said, I have been irritated for certain kind of movies, but not because it was terrible or whatever, but can be is kind of, it can be as much as poking you in the chest, or it could be as much as kind of like it's like where it's like you watch this thing and you just don't know how you feel about it. Like those are some of the best films. This isn't
Yeah,
quite like that for me, but nonetheless, it was
yeah.
still very good, and it's good to again, it's just always good to add to the pantheon of good films, especially sci-fi. So I deeply appreciate that. Um, and but anyway, I think we're rolling up to the very end of the show here, and
And
I've been ML.
I'm Tom, and Keep it interesting out there, guys.